And welcome back to another episode of the Awfully Irish podcast.
In case you didn't know what podcast you literally just clicked on.
Yeah.
But how you getting on, Chris? How's things?
Very well now, lads. How are you getting on?
Not too bad.
Better you're here to join us. So today we're joined by Chris Gavaghan. Chris, how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I host a podcast called The Dead Hedgehogs with a few of the lads from the Hardy books. And basically I've been working on the back end of the Hardy books for a number of years.
Yeah, you said me that before we started, yeah.
Mm.
Like to tell us all about your involvement in the Hardy books, because that's kind of where it started. Like you were saying, like the whole town back in the day was involved in this.
Oh, big time. You know, there'd be like, I suppose it's such a small town, and as you know from the feel of the show, it was all about, you know, keeping it low budget. Well, you know, they didn't hire professional actors for a long time. You know, they'd obviously have cast some particular roles, but you know, just your regular guy on the street could end up in shot. And that's basically how I got involved. You know, like I've known the lads from, especially Peter. I suppose I know Peter the longest. Myself and Peter would go back before the Hardy books had really started, you know. But once they started doing the demos around town and stuff, I was working in a pub in Swinford, and basically became good mates with the lads because they'd come into the pub and get absolutely stocious waiting for me to finish up work and stuff. So so like my involvement with the Hardy books, obviously from there, then like I went out to America for a year, and Martin gave me some really good tips on what to do and where to go and all that kind of crack when I was living in New York. And they turned into some wild nights out, surprisingly enough. And then when I came back, the lads had really picked up, especially the live shows. So they'd got lots of live gigs going on and stuff like that. So I'd basically go along and have a couple of pints with the lads, and then they'd basically give me some odd jobs to do when they needed stuff picking up or that kind of built and doing more stuff for the lads, you know. So being there with rehearsals and trying to help out that way, or I would it kind of transpired to, you know, running their tours and, you know, tour managing them after a couple of years and collecting money, which is always the fun part of any gig. Like my involvement with the Hardy books has been for a long time there, and like it's mostly been in the back end, even though I've been on screen a couple of times with the lads, you know.
And with COVID, it probably put like a big blockade in that, because you were saying like the live events were a big thing. Myself and Thomas were looking to go to one, and then lockdown just kept getting worse. Like, so obviously you guys ended up starting the podcast, Dead Hedgehogs. Who came up with the name? Because that was special. We had Stephen on about like 3 or 4 days before he's announced it, and he said it was something like no one could guess.
It was, well, I think obviously the 3 books left thing that the lads took on after we had done some gigs. We had done an Irish tour earlier on the year, and we had done shows like Vicar Street and some bigger venues and bits and pieces, you know, chalk venue and stuff. So we had done some large gigs, and by the end of it, like, I think we were at a crossroads with that tour of whether it was going to be a big long run of gigs or whether the lads were going to take a break. And they ended up taking a break, and obviously the lads went on to create the 3 books left just to continue gigging between themselves. And I think what they realized after a certain amount of time is that 3 books left just intrinsically linked them to Hardy books all the time. So I think what they wanted to do was create a brand that wasn't in touch with the Hardy books name, if you get me, you know. So the lads were driving along one day and saw a dead hedgehog, and Cowboy said, "What about the dead hedgehogs?" And that's how they came up with that name. And they came back to me, and I was like, "I don't give a shit what it's called. Let's do it." You know. So it's a bit of a bizarre one, but look, as I said, it's been good fun. It's like, even though it's only a couple of months old, we're going nicely so far.
Yeah, so far so good, dude. I was just saying earlier, like some of the editing you're doing is pretty spot on, especially with the Martin episode.
Yeah, Martin's episode. Funny thing about Martin's episode, myself and Cowboy were in Sweden, and I was there for a couple of weeks, and this was back in November. And anyone that knows Martin's, like, Martin's hard to tie down. He's hard to get a particular slot for Martin, because he's always busy. He's always doing something, and his life runs him. Instead of him running his life, so he could get sorted out. But then, so he we came back from Sweden after intentionally planned to sit down with Martin in Sweden, having the crack in person. But it was literally session after session, and every morning or every day we were just too jaded and fucked up and no energy to do a podcast. So
he called me. He called me when you were there.
Yeah, man. This is it. Like, it all went really well until, like, we came back, like, Cowboy was in bits, and that was the first night we had got back down. Myself and Cowboy were quarantined, and we did the podcast with Martin, and you could tell that there was just a lot, like, we were like a spent force. The power bar had been depleted in that podcast, but, like, we had good crack. It said doing the podcast with Martin's always going to be good fun, because Martin's going to talk all day anyway. So
Yes.
You just seen Cowboy in the background there at his eyes like this the whole time. He's like whole way through it.
Cowboy, he didn't sleep for 3 days. He was there for 3 or 4 days. He didn't sleep at all. He was absolutely shattered when he came back. Like, I was saying how, we were coming through the airport, and it was like bringing in a senile old man around with you. You'd almost have to lead him around by the hand, because he was like there staring. Like, he'd pick up a bottle of water, say, will you grab me a bottle of water there? He'd pick up the bottle of water, he'd start staring at the bottle of water like some absolute fool.
Yeah.
Like, come on, we've got an airplane to catch. But yeah, I should look. What can you do? It was good fun at the time, and like, Martin's episode went really well, all considering the fact that, like, the only one that was anyway coherent really was Pete, because Pete was in Ireland the whole time, so that's the way it went.
Yeah It's still a good one. It's great to see the lads having a bit of a chat.
Yeah, sure.
And
we know how hard it is to get Martin, so anytime he's coming on the podcast is good crack. Like,
I think Owen Corgan was one of our first guests, and Martin was supposed to be like the day after, and then we only got Martin 6 months down the line. I had 3 separate hour-long phone calls with the guy before he got on.
Listen, man, that doesn't surprise. See, the thing is, Martin just loves to chat. He's made for podcasting. He's made for doing radio slots or whatever, because he just loves talking. And he's gifted at. I've always said that he is one of the most naturally gifted people I've ever met. You put him into music, acting. His recall is amazing. His ability to recall stories, his ability to recall lyrics. Like, you could hand him a sheet of paper and say, we're shooting in 5 minutes time, and he's got it down to a T. He's got amazing memory that way, very photographic type of memory. But ask him to be on time and watch it fall apart. It just, there's something about the way his brain computes. There's certain things that are just not going to, like, he's almost gifted the other way when it comes to being on time and commitment and stuff like that. But if he could do anything for you, he will, that type of way, so he's I said, like, that's frustrating. That can be very frustrating when you're trying to go from gig to gig day after day, because Martin doesn't understand what turning up on time means at all.
I know a few of those,
but like, when you have someone like that, you just have to understand. There has to be a level of understanding with it that he's never going to be that type of way. That's not. There's going to be some things that he's very good at, and some things that he's not. So. Yeah, Martin's podcast was great fun, and I knew it would be. I said, hopefully we'll do one again soon enough, because the first one I think was a little bit low energy, and there's a lot more in the tank there for us.
Yeah.
That's fair. Get everyone a coffee. Be all ready to go. Poor Stephen will be there, like rubbing his eyes every second.
Yeah, and you could just tell him his face was all red. And he was struggling through that day now.
Yeah, he didn't do much talking, in fairness. It was like yourself and Pete talking, and with Martin, and then he was just sitting there rubbing his eye.
Yeah. Since I've edited it, I haven't actually I haven't sat down and watched it, because you spend so much time staring at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You just you have to almost revisit it a couple of months down the line, but
you never watch your own stuff.
Yeah,
might be melted.
Yeah, Cowboy really struggled that day. He was. Well, I couldn't feel too sorry for him, but he struggles with the hangovers anyway, and he'll tell you that. Maybe not the day after, but the day after that, he goes to a dark place sometimes. So that's the way. He's not the only one. Plenty of people that will be watching this podcast will be in that same boat as well after a couple of days on the beer.
Yeah, he's a unique character. So he is. I think Cowboy's unreal. We've had him on 3 times. Could have been 4th today nearly, but every time it's like a new guy. The first time he was. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I was just no. Go ahead.
The first time he was just like normal Irish lad having a chat. We were kind of fanboying out a little bit because big fan of the Hardy Bucks. One of our first guests of all time. Second time he's hung over the bits, and it was like talking to the wall. We got through it. In the end, at the end, he peaked up, but the first 20 minutes was poor guy was only out of bed or he's hung over. And the third time he just did the charity run. Yeah. And the guy was just brimming with energy, big smile on his face, no matter what he was talking about.
Yeah. Was that the run last September, or the one in the run from Dublin that they did?
No, most recent one.
Yeah, September.
Yeah. So, I was involved with, and the energy that those lads get from doing that type of charity work or that type of running, I think they're equal measure. If anything, the running, there's the amount of effort they have to go through for the running is amazing, but to see the response from the public to get behind the lads, especially the last one. I don't know what it was about the Mayo Roscommon Hospice. It really hit home with us, as a team or whatever, So, it was a privilege to be involved with those runs. And I know Pete doesn't like to say that he doesn't like to see the next one coming, but I know that Cowboy is absolutely hopping off the walls to do another one.
Yeah, he said that he was already planning this.
Oh, the day that evening he was planning. We came once they finished up in Ballinasloe. So they'd ran 350 kilometers in 5 days. It was an outrageous amount of run and hard terrains. Run from there was a part of the run there that was really difficult from Westport or into Westport, and the weather was fucking bad. A real hard West of Ireland winter's day type rain, just lashing all day. And the only thing that saved them, they had a tailwind that day, but it was tough, and by the end of it, Cowboy and myself went for a couple of pints in Swinford. He was talking about doing the full Wild Atlantic way, just buzzing for it. Whereas Pete just wanted to go home and crawl into a bed.
Yeah,
there for a couple of days,
And he's crazy as well because he had all these heart problems. That's what it was in the Universal movie, and the fact that he just got up and started running. They write books about lads like that, He's
Yeah,
he's an
like
unreal character.
I remember when that happened to him and he went into hospital with the aneurysm, right? And we'll be having a laugh on this because like his aneurysm comes up a lot in podcasts. It's almost a seminal moment. He brings it up all the time. We take the piss out of it. But when he went and he had his aneurysm, he like well, first of all, this news can be kind of slow to get out anyway, So he was rushed to ICU. He had major brain surgery, but it was like a day and a bit after where I found out. And at the time, I was living in Dublin, and I rang Tom, who plays the Boo. We were chatting, and I was like, I don't want to intrude when he's in the ICU or whatever, but we'll go up and we'll visit when he's moved to the ward,
Yeah.
And the next day, I rang his sister Maria, and Maria was saying, "Oh, sure, he's back in Castlebar already." And I was just like, "What?" He's just had major brain surgery. Oh yeah, he's up and about, and I was just like very confused. I was like, so they basically brought him back to Castlebar. He was in Castlebar Hospital for a couple of days and then sent home back on, and straight away he was just itching to go running, or he wanted to start doing training for this the charity run from Dublin. So yeah, it was he's a madman, and for a man that never ran, like Cowboy never did any running. He never did any. He wouldn't have, like, he was fit because he was a plasterer. That was his trade. Never did any mad endurance running. Wouldn't say that he wouldn't play football or anything like that. He's just decided that he had been doing a bit of running before he had that aneurysm or whatever, and he was getting a bit fitter. But like now he's a different animal altogether. He's super fit. So fair play to him. He's done pretty well for himself. He's one of the best crack to work with because he is so game to do any video, to do any bit of podcasting. He'll talk to anyone. He just loves it. He's well up for it all the time.
Yeah, fair play to him. There's a lot to be said for that kind of attitude. But even with like dead hedgehogs, what's the goal there?
I suppose would
you be happy if it got the full-time kind of stuff?
Yeah.
What's the goal?
I suppose for myself, like I wanted to be doing something creative. Like when I was working with the Hardy Books, like I had I'd had bits and pieces on the show, but I never really, even if they did, it never felt like it was mine. Do you get me? It was my friends, and I would help them out in any way, and I was always part of the crew. That was always a given. But I wanted to create something. I know what the lads wanted to do was just create something that's ourselves, something completely different. And if it became a full-time gig, that would be brilliant. That just means that it's successful. But at the moment right now, it's just having lots of really good conversations, try and build a bit of a platform for ourselves. It's doing okay. And just learn as we go. I said, I'm not a full-time editor or producer, but I'm making a go of it and trying to create it to a quite a high standard and spending time doing that, and the lads are too, the lads are spending time learning bits and pieces here and there as well. So I think for ourselves, what we want to do is create a platform that is kind of cross genre, cross stuff, because we have so many varied interests beyond doing some comedy stuff or working on some comedy sketches or working on this music, sports, huge into sports, politics, UFC, all of these different things that we could be talking about, or live streaming and watching, or we could be doing interviews and podcasts with different guests. So we've got really varied people coming up on the podcast. We obviously had Pau Dwyer and David Mullins recently, who were brilliant. Were totally different. They're totally left field from each other. One's a Grand National winning jockey. One's a 4-time Irish strongest man. And then we've got Saoirse McHugh coming up, who's obviously ran for to be a TD and an MEP for the Green Party.
To go into like the political side, yeah.
So, and the way I was looking at it is that we want to create a place where we can have lots of different conversations, but also have it where it's a bit of crack as well, you know. So there's shades of lots of different stuff in it, but we want to make sure it's unique as well, and obviously still do sketches and bits and pieces in between as well, you know.
That's definitely been an advantage with COVID, is that people have had the time to create these things. Like we started this podcast during COVID, and so did like Dead Hedgehogs. So,
and the way we were thinking about it is a lot like the way you're thinking about it now.
Yeah.
But we went into it thinking, oh, we'll just talk to actors and voice actors, and then we said, geez, how many times can we ask an actor the same thing? Like there's very interesting actors, but like just to talk about acting constantly, you know. So we branched out, and like much like yourselves, we're just talk to anyone. Like we've had academics on, we've had comedians, we've had athletes, we've had actors. We'll have anyone on. We had a flat earther on.
We've been approached by the Flat Earth Society or something to have one of their guys on. And we'll talk to anyone. They said right now it's just, I suppose it's about balancing it with work, about trying to get as much time, putting enough time into quality podcasts that our fans want to like. We're in a bit of a privileged position in that the 3 Bucks Left page has quite a large following. Our social media page on the Dead Hedgehogs on Instagram is a decent following, and we're still picking up subscribers on YouTube, which is the hardest platform to get. Yeah, it's
don't start.
we could all cry into each other's arms about this. It's hard, but you know what? It's rewarding because as you said, what's the goal there? I just go with lots of short-term goals, and they're usually numerical in value. So you're like, we'll have this goal for here. You know, let's go to, we're at almost 600 subscribers. We really need to get to 1,000. So when can we get an endpoint for 1,000? You know, push on from there. You know, so yeah. So right now the goal is just to have good conversations and have good crack between ourselves.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a fairly pure way to have it at the moment.
Yeah, it's simple. As I said, there's podcasts popping up left, right, and center. And some of them are going to do really well, you know, and some of them are going to be really. One of them is going to be super popular. You know, there's a reason why Joe Rogan's show works for so long and why it's so popular on the internet. You know, or you know, it's why he made $100 million on his Spotify deal. You know, he has a varied audience from across different platforms. So, you know, it's
he's very lucky. No, he was a big inspiration for why I wanted to start this, because I wanted to start a podcast. It wasn't necessarily with Thomas or the guy who used to do it with Dara. I just wanted to start one, and I put up this tweet like, he wants to start. I'm starting a podcast. Who wants to join? And funny enough, Thomas was like, "Yeah, sounds." And then it just started like the day after. But you know, I say he's a big inspiration for a lot of people.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, his comedy, some of his stuff is quite good, you know, but like wouldn't really be my cup of tea. Some of his comedy, you know, his delivery and stuff, it's kind of, it's almost that new wave American stuff that they have going on over there. A lot of them comedians sound the same to me. Bar the likes of Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, he's not a favorite of mine either. But when it comes to UFC commentary, he's the best.
Incredible. Yeah, he is really good. He's really sharp, you know, and his UFC commentary is like, he's an expert.
Oh yeah.
You know. So I'd like, as I said, I know that a lot of people don't like Joe Rogan. There's lots of stuff, like I've watched podcasts where, you know, it wouldn't be my cup of tea either. But I can respect the fact that he'll have people from across the political spectrum, across people that he doesn't agree with at all. And that's the way I think podcasting needs to be. Because at the end of the day, what I see as the big problems in the world, they stem from these echo chambers where people are stuck into listening to what they like.
Yeah.
And the likes of YouTube, Facebook, they're built on algorithms to keep people happy.
Yeah.
So like you look at conspiracy theories, people that like conspiracy theories, all they watch all day on YouTube is conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
If you're a right winger and you love Ben Shapiro, all you're going to hear all day is fucking Ben Shapiro or Bernie Sanders or whoever, people that you kind of agree with, and people are idiots.
Yeah,
but just in general,
I'm definitely. I say you would be as well inspired by that kind of carry on. Well, he does see both sides. Like even when he had this guy talking about why carnivore diet was the best one. Then he had a vegan on to debate the guy.
Yeah.
After, brilliant. And then he has people from all across the political spectrum. He had Bernie on, and then he had Ben Shapiro. He's Alex Jones, and then he has MIT scientists like Lex Friedman. He's crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is, you look at Alex Jones is a conspiracy nut, and Mark Maloney has fucking said that I actually look like him from time to time. But
I said the beard is a bit shorter.
Yeah, if I was going around topless, maybe that would throw me into the go in that direction. But at the end of the day, conspiracy theorists want something to believe, and if you look at where Joe Rogan's gone with his podcast, he was a conspiracy theorist. And then he did really well, and then he's kind of shaved it back. He didn't believe in the moon landing, which was one of the classic conspiracy theories. So maybe that's what we need to do. We need to get on the conspiracy train, pick up a couple thousand followers.
I'm for it, man. I'm all about this one now. I don't know if you heard of it, but the birds and the whole reason for COVID is that they had to change the batteries in birds every 100 years. And that's why there's a big virus every 100 years. It's because they have to keep changing the batteries in the birds. And sure, when's the last time you saw a crow about the place? Exactly. Wow. They've been gone, and they emigrate, and that's just so they can charge them up a little bit. But the batteries die, man. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I love that.
I mean,
the batteries are dying. I love it.
Exactly. They need to be changed. I mean, it makes sense.
It doesn't really, but I like anyone that believes that. I want to hang out with them a little bit more.
Yeah. Actually, something special.
And the thing is, the problem is, I can't. There are conspiracy theories that are true, 100%. There's loads of conspiracy theories that are true, but you can't. If you can't believe all of them because you believe one of them could be true, one of them's plausible. It's there's obviously lots of conspiracy theories on the reason that cancer hasn't been cured yet and stuff like that. Yeah. And that pharmaceutical companies are making so much money that they're holding back the cure to something like cancer, which makes plausible sense. But people can't keep secrets either.
Yeah.
So you could be down in Foxford and you can't. You could tell someone to keep a secret, and 5 minutes later, it's all over fucking town. Humans just are incapable of keeping something hush hush. So I can't. Global conspiracies like that, I just don't believe them, to be honest.
That actually makes me think of I don't think there's actually aliens in Area 51, because there's no way that a gobmouth like Trump could keep that down.
Oh, he'd fucking love, man. Imagine if he would only love to announce what was going on in Area 51.
Yeah, if they were there, he was the guy who was going to say it.
And they 100%. Were beautiful. He would love that. He'd love that so much.
Yeah.
So I think that someone like Trump is a walking conspiracy. This QAnon stuff. That's
is he into that stuff? I don't know.
He's at the center of it, you see.
Oh, don't start.
QAnon.
The way you said you see. Oh, I see your eyes light up.
He was built up as the savior by this. It's almost like a conspiracy cult called QAnon. So this person Q who's releasing this information is has it all centered around Trump being the savior, which he wouldn't be the most like Trump, but Donald Trump going into the White House is one of the craziest things that's ever happened in the world.
Oh yeah,
it's a bit of a weird one. He's not there anymore.
No.
But I think what pissed people off was, you had Trump, who was just like a really weird guy, and then you had Joe Biden, who, like he wasn't like the snappiest. He wasn't like you're voting for him because he wasn't the other guy, and that pissed people off.
He is an atrocious orator. He's so bad.
Dude.
Like I can be bad. I lose my words sometimes, and I don't have to speak to the whole fucking world in one go. I like at the end of the day, I look at him like he's an 80-something-year-old man. He's like, how he's still going.
Dude, what was that thing? Like he said like in an interview, like Putin's a killer, and he's gonna find out shortly, like what he deserves or something. And then Thomas, you were saying that thing earlier, like he was trying to climb stairs to a plane. He fell 3 times.
It was shocking, man.
Like, Putin said back to him,
that's sad. That's awful.
Putin replied to Biden, "So it takes one to know one."
He's like such schoolyard stuff. It's
terrifying. These two guys have,
nukes.
Yeah. But do you know what? I followed this thing. It's a left-leaning thing, but it's basically called Double Down News. It was started by a journalist called George Monabot. So he and I probably butchered that name as well, but he basically started this Facebook platform or whatever to create an alternative, not media-driven type of stuff. And he put up a clip earlier of 18 years ago. This was the news, basically describing how what the news was like around the Iraq War, and Tony Blair was going into the war and just signed up to the war effort with America, and if you look at the way that the Iraq war is framed and is getting general support, you'd look at it and you'd be like, oh my God, it's actually disgusting what we know now, but the way it's portrayed by the media of the time.
Yeah,
it was basically the only option they ever had, which we all know is pure and utter bullshit.
Yeah, hindsight's something to behold. Yeah, no, we could look back on that strike and be like, geez, that was dodgy. But then, like, the same stuff could be happening now, or worse.
Oh, yeah.
We could be looking back now and saying, Jesus, that was the most corrupt and awful time in human history. What we're going through now. Or it could be always grand. Yeah,
like this the thing with the coronavirus thing, it does beg the question, is like, could this be a big scam by big pharma or something like that? Like, I can understand why people get into the conspiracy side of it, because it is so weird, so bizarre.
Yeah. It's kind of,
and we've been fooled by the media before. Iraq and Afghanistan have shown that.
Yeah, well, it's a dodgy old time. But I don't know. Like, the World Health Organization had some dodgy things going on, but hopefully going forward they just have it figured, because there's so many like people doing it independently now. We're not listening to just the one group.
It's
like, even the Russians, like before everyone else, they had the vaccine ready, but just because people don't like the Russians, are like, we'll dodge that one.
Yeah, but I was again, and it's all about where you're getting your information from. But I was completely off by basically the way these vaccines, some of them, like Moderna has like 98% efficacy rate, or Pfizer has 95%, and some of them, I think it's like AstraZeneca has like 65% or something like that. I thought that like 65% of people that take the vaccine that it works on, you know. But basically, there's a video on Vox that disputes that all these vaccines are 100% legit, but it's the efficacy of the right vaccine. So, say it's the death rate of the people that have had the COVID once they've taken the vaccine. So it's not like, so say there's 68% of people that that AstraZeneca. So out of 1,000, there might be whatever number. It's the group. The 68% is only within the group that have been vaccinated and going forward. It, like, I'm butchering the way that this.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like 68% efficiency. So it wasn't like everyone that was vaccinated, 68% were going to that they were completely fine. The next 32% were in a risky category. Basically, 98% of them or 100% of them were actually going to be immune from the vaccine. But there is a certain percent that would almost be placeboed within that, but they're still good.
Oh.
You know, so
like, do you mean like people who would have been fine anyway?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So like the vaccine, there's lots of videos and studies out there saying that the vaccine is actually sound, but again, it's words being twisted. Like the Chicago Mayor came out there a day or two ago, saying that they were only going to go with certain vaccines because their efficacy rates were really high. But your man was just uneducated on what that really meant.
Right.
If you get me.
Yeah.
You know?
But like if you didn't do that, probably be like it's the States, there's gonna be someone writing an article saying, oh, your man chose the lowest one to give to people or something like that. What does that say about him? You know?
And like I'm still struggling to understand it all. I'll have to watch that video again. Because at the time I could understand it and I could describe it. But like if you just go, 65% of this vaccine has an efficacy rate of this much, like people don't understand that. They just assume that 65% work and then 30% it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, and if it was described properly, that isn't the case. You know, so it's I suppose it's one of these things that education is the key to us, and the internet's great for that, but it can also fucking lead you down.
It can fuck you up.
No,
there's people who don't believe in dinosaurs or space, and they think that we're on a disc. It's like, come on.
Yeah, we need to do an essay on fake news, and it's just shocking how like they had one, like the Pope approved Trump to be like the president, and like over 1 million people shared it, and then it just turned out to be false. But like people aren't like those 1 million people that shared it. They're not gonna fucking know that. They've already shared it. That's old news to them.
Like you'll share it before you check it afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
Like the counter story might get 70,000, whereas the main story got like 1 million. Like there's also one with the Pope that he caught COVID, so he was like, I don't know, it was showing like that the Catholic Church is like doesn't care about COVID or whatever, but in reality he didn't get it, and it was like a viral story.
But like these fake news stories and the way that clickbait ads and clickbait stuff is kind of set up, it does lead you to go and scratching your head and be like, is there any way out of it? Because social media can be toxic, and it can obviously spread a lot of bullshit very, very quickly. And you see that girl that was presenting Love Island, and she took her own life because of, you know, like she got into it with her boyfriend. What's her name? Caroline Fleck.
Yeah.
So she got into her boyfriend, and then she's getting bullied on social media by fucking dickheads. And she probably wasn't. It probably wasn't as big a deal at the time as was made up, but the pressure was so much, and she couldn't take it. She was in a vulnerable state. So, and who's to blame then? Is it the people that piled on top of her? Is it the social media that actually gave these people the voice? Twitter or Facebook? Who's to blame? And then
that's the thing with social media. There's no accountability.
You know,
like if you cancel someone, you like this kind of stuff carries on. Say 3 Books Left gets cancelled, or Dead Hedgehogs gets cancelled because something one of you guys said out of context, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if it turns out you didn't actually say that, like, no one's going to apologize. No one's going to be like, sorry, lads.
100%. And
Like
that's the world we live in now. Like,
I remember seeing it for some comedian. He got called a racist, and then nothing. Like afterwards, it was like when it got revealed he wasn't, or like it wasn't actually the case. Like people's reaction was congratulations on not being racist and blah blah blah. You know, like oh, so what? So what? He's not racist. Like the people who are ready to maul this guy.
He probably kicks dogs.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's man. And this idea of cancel culture at the moment, it's just like it's everywhere. And people see the thing is, people want to be right. People want to be on this righteous buzz, you know, about oh, I always knew, I always knew that fucker was a wrong.
It's this whole thing of calling people like when you see Twitter, someone's normally getting called a pedophile. That's normally like the main thing, is to throw it out. Pedophile or racist.
But like,
how do you disprove that? Like,
well, this is it. You're playing a game then, and I don't really use Twitter. Like, I just think that I never like. I could always see that people can have their say. People could say what they feel, and they're constantly putting tweets out, whatever. I never saw that as a good thing.
Yeah.
People agreeing with you all the time is not healthy.
No.
Yeah.
And then fighting all the time is fucking just as bad.
Absolutely.
What was that statistic, Jared, about Twitter?
I was about to say, we this comedian on Joe Gavaghan, yeah. And he's a fan of the Hardy Bucks. He's a comedian in the States.
Yeah.
Surprised he found it, but he was saying like the big problem with Twitter is, what was it, like 10% of the people have 90% of the tweets.
It goes back to that old
or something like half of it has 90%. Yeah.
Yeah, like it like, and that's exactly it. Yeah. Like it's all nonsense. It's all bullshit. Most people that I have an account there, I probably should just fucking close it down. Because I don't use it for that. And then I might scroll through it once a month, and I'm like, this is weird. Like you just see people arguing about nonsense. Like, fucking, do you have nothing else to do with your time? Like, it's
that's all Twitter is, though. It's just people complaining and people having a go at other people. And
it was crazy when the American election was going on, and there was just like Irish people giving out about it,
going out
to each other.
Unreal.
That they disagree on who should be in charge of a country they don't live in.
And I've gotten involved in those arguments, and then they caught myself later, and I'm like, what am I doing?
I know lads who won't speak to each other after having an argument like that.
I'm lucky enough. I've been over to America 6 or 7 times, and I remember the first time one of the first times I was over there. I was playing handball with Sligo IT in the US Collegiates with a few lads. We took a flight over representing the college or whatever. There's about 70 Irish lads over there. This is 10 years ago, more, maybe 12 years ago at this stage. So we went over there, and myself and 2 of the lads, we were having a couple of beers in the airport, and next thing it was called for a flight. So we ran down to the gate, but they had overbooked the flight. So we stayed in Atlanta for the night. We had a mad night in Atlanta. Right, got a flight the next morning. Obviously the airline had paid for it because we were college students. We fuck all money anyway. But anyway, we got out to America, or got out to Missouri, and we didn't know which hotel we were staying in. Like, we had booked it through someone else, and we couldn't get in contact with them. So we went to an Applebee's. We were sitting down having some food. We're having a couple of pints, and we're like, what are we gonna do? Because our problem was that we had cash to pay for a room. Well, so we could have got a motel, but none of us had a credit card.
Right.
So we couldn't actually go and book somewhere because, in America, you need a card. So anyway, we're debating what we do or who we contact or where we go. And this this fella out of nowhere, he was sitting at the bar, but he was like some big Texan, you know, the archetypal big Texan bastard,
Mm.
you know, with a fucking like a massive star buckle and fucking. Well, all he was missing was a big fucking 10-gallon hat, you know. He cruises down and he's like, you guys looking for somewhere to stay? And we were like a bit shocked. That's the way he introduced himself. My name's Randy or whatever. And he goes, well, I know you guys are in a bit of a bind, but you can stay in my basement if you want. And in my head, I was like, flashing lights. I was like, murderer. This ain't gonna be good for us. We were like, no. I was like, that's very generous of you. We couldn't. And he's like, it's God-fearing country, you know. We're in the deep south. So that your man was like, well, I'm not going to leave here until you guys sort out. He went across the road to this motel and basically put his card on the line so we could actually book in there.
Right.
So he's like, it was very kind of him, bit weird. You would like if that happened in Ireland, you'd need 5 or 6 pints with them first before you even offer.
That kind of stuff wouldn't happen here at all.
No, it wouldn't.
The generosity from Americans is crazy.
I remember my dad telling me that there was a cousin that came back from Ireland. I think this guy came back from America for a holiday back in the 60s or 70s. Your man just rocked up to the door and he stayed for 3 weeks, you know, and he just chilled out in the house there and was, you know, so back in the day, you know, you could just turn up at someone's gaff and they'd look after you.
I say they still do that in the States. I've been there a couple of times. Like the most generous people.
Oh,
they're
unreal.
Like nothing compared to here.
Never been treated as well as been out there. Being an Irish and American, they get treated so well.
Oh yeah,
it's a handy number. But yeah, like, dude, I don't even know my neighbors. I don't even know like most of my neighbors' names. Like none of my neighbors know each other in this estate. I don't know if that's unique to here, but in the States, man, like they know the whole estate. They know everybody.
Oh yeah.
I suppose it's almost in their interest to get it done, to do that as well. Like, you know, it's almost, but like at the same here, I suppose. It's definitely different now with COVID and all that kind of crack. Knowing your neighbors isn't the priority. Staying away from them is.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to have like some? I'm going to get deep here. You think it's going to have like some deep-rooted issues with that, like going forward? Like we're going to be like hesitant to new people. Yeah,
possibly. Like I think I genuinely believe that everything will go back to normal very quickly when things are locked up. When they're like people have very short memories, and they'll go back to their normal routines very quickly after. You know, but like things are weird anyway. Like my sister has had a baby boy there a couple of months ago, and like I don't see them as often as I'd want to, you know. But like, so when it is weird, you know. Is it like, and I don't know if there's any easy way out of it at the very start, but I think once things go back to anyway normal, people will be like, and I think the first surge of people going into the pub will be brilliant crack. You know, be like fucking suck calves being let out into a pasture for a fucking couple of days.
Dude, like before COVID, I hadn't been to a pub in a long time. But man, when this thing opens up,
7 nights a week,
carnage, pure
months.
Carnage.
Yeah, like
all the podcast fun just blown in one night.
Why not? Yeah, well, luckily myself and the lads, myself and Cowboy especially, we did go to the pub for most people. So we let myself and Cowboy like a good night out. So Pete is a lot more reserved that way. But he's one of the best crack on the night out. But he kind of does the French toast in real life. He'll go off it for a couple of months and then have a couple of tears and then back off the sauce for a while, like, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when it's lockdown's over and we can head down to one of the shows, because like we've been talking to like the lads for so long at this point, and even before that I was interested in the show. I wanted to go to I seen the TV show as well, but you know, I don't know. There's something different between like, seeing them like recorded shows versus being there. It'd be a lot better.
Live stuff is unique, and I think that's the one thing that'll be kept off on hold for a while. I think big live acts will be next year, which in a way it's a blessing because it gives us lots of time to prepare for something like that, So
absolutely, yeah. I'm looking forward to going to shows, and like Jared said, like talking to them is nice and all, but like and seeing the shows recorded are cool, but like getting out to see one, like it'll be class, I'd say.
Yeah, like some of the best crack is always after the gig, because there isn't a gig that any of the Hardy Bucks guys have done that we're not hanging out after and having the crack with Luster there. There isn't a gig that we've done that the Hardy Bucks, haven't been, in having a wild night out after.
Yeah.
And that's
back.
He's back.
Sorry, I missed what you said there.
No, I was just saying, like with the live gigs and stuff like that, some of the best crack is the night out after is usually just generally a fucking brilliant night itself, and gives us a chance to hang out with people that are fans and whatever, and just that, like, that's as much crack as the gigs themselves,
Yeah, I think we've lost Jared again.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, Chris. This was the last straw for Jared. I mean, this morning I woke up, man, and I said, frankly, I'm quite fucking sick of you. I'll give you one more go at a podcast, and if you fuck it up, it's done. It's over.
The way it goes, man. You got it. Cut them loose. You get one chance.
I mean, I've given him one. Well, more than one. I gave him two, and geez.
You're a generous guy.
I am, but I'm also quite forgiving, and that's my thing. I'm too caring. People say, I'm too kind. Loving.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. No,
it's
but,
yeah. It's like I love live gigs. Apart from going to Hardy Bucks live gigs and stuff, I love live gigs anyway. I've been to an unreal, like, I love rock music, so going to Queens of the Stone Age, Slane, going to the Point, or even just small little gigs in around Dublin or in Galway or whatever. Geez, a trad session at home in Swinford, whatever. I love all of that. So
I'm going to Jimmy Carr in November, and I'm really looking forward to that. Big fan of his.
I thought you cancelled that.
No, it's still on. No, I'm really looking forward to that though. That'll be good.
Jimmy Carr is good, man. He's quick. Sharp.
And I think we're in the front. I think we're near the front row as well. So I'm
you're
preparing myself to be absolutely shit on.
Yeah, from a height. Yeah, he's good, man. He's good. Is Jared gone again? Is he?
Oh, you know what, man? This fucking guy. I swear to God, I'm so. Man. Oh, he's here.
He's back.
Jared, you okay, man?
I haven't a clue what's going on here. It's like Bill Gates
and
the lads are trying to stop me. I thought I fixed it.
Ah, well,
Billy Boy heard that we were talking conspiracies, and he was like, "God, if I could try and stop this now, lads."
Yeah.
RTE interrupting with us.
Martin hates Bill Gates, and I have no idea why.
I don't even want to get into. I've had that conversation with them plenty.
He said it to me, but he's drinking before, like, so.
Yeah,
like in one out the other.
The thing about Bill Gates is, and I can't remember who I said this, but like, what does Bill Gates want? Because it's not money, and if it's power, then he's had that for 30 years, and if it's information, then he's had control of everything in the world for 30 years too. So it's like, why would he go through the effort of something like creating a global pandemic? Seems like a bit of hassle to me.
I know that's stupid now. No, I'm not listening to that.
No,
I'm still on the bird theory. I swear to God, it'll come true. You see, someday someone will grab a bird, man, and it'll fucking malfunction and explode and something. I don't know.
Your pet parrots just stop talking one day.
Yeah, maybe.
You won't know what to do.
Fucking, you'd be wondering where all the AA batteries have gone.
Exactly.
They've just fucking disappeared one day.
I mean, there never seems to be any in my house. Coincidence?
Possibly.
Yeah. All right, Chris. I feel like we've taken up enough of your time. You might be getting sick of the inside of the car as well.
Well, I'm actually got to get used to it now because I'm driving from Mayo to Dublin, so it's taking the spin up to Dublin again. I work up in Dublin, so up there during the week.
That's rough.
And then, look, you gotta be done back at the weekends then, and get as much done as possible when I'm home. But look, guys, thanks so much for having us on.
It was a pleasure, man.
Oh yeah, anytime.
But Chris, if people want to check out, where can they find you?
Go to the Dead Hedgehogs YouTube channel, be the first port of call, or the Patreon channel. So go on there, or if they want to follow us on Instagram, we've got a Dead Hedgehogs Instagram page as well. So
boom.
Feel free to jump on there, and if anyone ever has particular people they want us to have on the podcast, let us know. We're always open to sometimes stupid and sometimes brilliant suggestions.
I think we have a few recommendations. We'll do that after.
Love it.
So there you go. If you want to check them out, you know where to find them. And if you got this far, geez, fair play to you. So take it handy, stay away from yourself, and good luck. Top of the morning, lads and ladies. Support for the Off the Irish podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels, and you'll no longer need the look of the Irish with the ladies. Make every day feel like St. Patrick's Day for your balls with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IrishPod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped, and use code IrishPod. Use the right tools for the job and trim your pant potatoes.